Okay, imagine this for a second. You reach for your phone, ready for that quick TikTok scroll, those laughs, the hacks, and it's just gone. For millions of you, that nightmare scenario felt incredibly close recently.
Oh, absolutely. The future of TikTok really was hanging by a thread there for a while. A real high-stakes situation playing out globally.
But like something out of a thriller, there's been a twist, a lifeline, it seems. That means the scroll goes on.
Exactly. And we're going to dive into that today. It's a fascinating story, really, full of geopolitical chess moves, tech giants, global trade, and this incredibly popular app caught right in the middle. We've been digging into it.
And what have you found?
Well, it looks like a blueprint, a kind of digital makeover, shifting TikTok's U.S. operations firmly under American control. And honestly, it happened faster than a trending sound goes viral.
So our mission today, unpack this whole thing. The pressures, who's involved, the surprising details behind a deal that, honestly, could change how we see our digital world and maybe even international relations.
Yeah.
So, buckle up. Let's get into TikTok's great escape. All right, maybe let's rewind a bit first. Just to understand how we got to this cliffhanger moment. We're talking about TikTok, this app that just exploded, what, around 2016?
Yeah, about then.
Became this absolute powerhouse, short videos, addictive. Nearly 2 billion users worldwide now. That's huge.
It's staggering, isn't it? And it started so simply, just fun 15-second clips, comedy, cooking, dancing, you name it.
But here's where it gets tricky, right?
Yeah.
How does something designed for entertainment suddenly become a national security issue?
Well, that's the crux of it. TikTok's owned by ByteDance, which is based in Beijing. And as the app got bigger and bigger, U.S. lawmakers started seeing some serious red flags.
Red flags about what specifically? Not the cat videos, I assume.
No, not the cat videos themselves. The worry was about the data. Could ByteDance, under Chinese law, be forced to hand over sensitive user data to the government in Beijing?
And we're talking, what kind of data?
Potentially everything. Where users are, what they watch, their behavior patterns. Basically, a huge trove of information about American citizens.
Okay, so this wasn't just, like, vague speculation.
Not at all. The concerns were concrete enough that they led to a federal law just last year.
The one that basically said sell or get banned.
Exactly. Sell the U.S. operations to someone not based in China or face a total ban across the United States. Talk about high stakes. And that set the clock ticking. January 19th, 2025. That was the date the law kicked in.
Right.
It gave ByteDance a 90-day window initially, find a buyer, sort it out.
And that initial deadline landed just before President Trump's inauguration, didn't it? January 20th.
Precisely, which added this whole other layer of political timing and, frankly, urgency.
But then things got extended a few times.
They did. We saw President Trump, who, interestingly, seems to have warmed up to TikTok this time around.
Yeah, a bit of a change from his first-term stance.
A noticeable one. He first pushed that deadline to early April, then May, then June, and then, most recently, another 90 days.
Which brings us right up to this Wednesday, September 17th.
That's the one, the absolute final deadline. You can imagine for users that back and forth, that uncertainty, it must have been pretty stressful. The anxiety was real.
Okay, so deadline looming, pressure cooker situation,
Yeah.
and then the action shifts to Madrid, Spain, a summit.
That's right. Over the weekend, picture this. Top economic people from the U.S. and China huddled together. Not just about TikTok, mind you.
Ah, so it was part of a bigger conversation.
A much bigger one. Think U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, locked in talks with Chinese Vice Premier Xi Lifeng and negotiator Li Changgang.
How long were these talks?
Marathon sessions, like 6 hours Sunday, another 5 on Monday. This wasn't just a quick chat about an app.
So what else was on the table? This sounds like more than just TikTok.
Oh, way more. You have to remember the backdrop. The U.S. had just slapped these 30% duties on Chinese goods. China hit back with 10% on U.S. stuff.
Right, the trade tensions.
Exactly. And there was this fragile tariff truce set to expire in November. Plus, President Trump had been talking about even higher tariffs.
Okay.
And on China's side, they were doing probes into U.S. semiconductors.
Probes, like what?
Well, things like an anti-dumping investigation into chips, basically checking if they're being sold too cheaply, and an antitrust look at NVIDIA. That started back in December.
Wow.
And then there's the whole issue of rare earths, those minerals China dominates that are critical for everything from EV batteries to fighter jets. There were rumblings about those too.
So TikTok was just one piece, maybe a key piece, but still just one piece in this huge, complex economic puzzle they were trying to solve in Madrid.
A very visible and politically charged piece, but
Yep.
yes, part of a much larger negotiation tapestry.
Right.
And then right in the middle of all this tariff talk and trade tension, the breakthrough announcement.
From Secretary Bessent.
Yep, he came out and said, quite plainly, we have a framework for a TikTok deal.
A framework. Okay, what does that mean exactly?
It means the basic structure is agreed upon. It's a deal between the private companies ByteDance and, well, some unnamed U.S. buyers for now. And crucially, the core commercial terms. They're locked in. The main goal is crystal clear. Switch TikTok's U.S. operations to U.S.-controlled ownership.
To finally deal with those data security fears.
Exactly, to put those spying concerns to rest.
So does this mean, like, no more oversight from Beijing at all? Are we talking U.S. servers, U.S. rules, a complete Americanization of TikTok U.S.?
That seems to be the essence of it. The idea is a clean break in terms of control and data management for the U.S. market, American servers, American governance structures, essentially, yeah, a full U.S. makeover.
In China, what was their reaction?
Their Commerce Ministry put out a statement, too, pretty standard language, urging mutual respect and equal consultations, wanting dialogue to resolve concerns. But it reads like a nod of approval, or at least acceptance.
So this really shifts things from a potential ban to, well, a bad forward.
A genuine breakthrough, yeah. It changes the whole narrative.
And, you know, President Trump wasn't going to stay quiet on this.
Oh, definitely not.
He was straight onto Truth Social, right? Posting something like,
a deal was reached with a certain company that young people in our country very much wanted to save. They will be very happy. Something like that.
that sounds about right. And he also mentioned the European meetings going well.
Yes, added that the trip has gone very well. The relationship remains a very strong one. So framing it in that broader positive context.
Okay, so framework agreed, president happy. What's next to make this official?
The big step is a call scheduled between President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping. That's set for this Friday, September 19th.
To give it the final green light.
Pretty much. Dot the I's, cross the T's at the highest level.
Right.
There's even talk there might be a very short extension needed past Wednesday's deadline just for absolute finalization.
But the momentum feels like it's there now.
It really does. Feels unstoppable at this point.
You know, if we zoom out a bit here, this whole saga isn't just about saving dance videos, is it?
Not at all.
It feels like a lesson in modern geopolitics. Realpolitik, maybe. How apps, things we use every day, become these huge bargaining chips in, like multi-billion-dollar trade games between superpowers.
It absolutely demonstrates that. And remember, we've seen attempts before that didn't quite land.
Like the Walmart and Oracle bid back in 2020 for TikTok Global.
Exactly. That one kind of fizzled out. Though Oracle has still been involved since 2022 as a cloud partner, handling some of the U.S. data security side.
Right. But this new framework feels different, more solid.
It signals something more, I think. Maybe a genuine, albeit cautious, thawing of tensions between the U.S. and China. President Trump even floated the idea of visiting China maybe later this year or early next.
Wow, that would be significant.
Huge. And it builds on other recent talks, diplomatic, defense discussions. It fits a pattern of slightly improved communication.
And this is happening while China's economy is in an interesting place too, right? Exports booming elsewhere, but maybe some domestic slowdown.
Yeah, exports, especially to places like Southeast Asia, are strong. They're looking at potentially a record trade surplus, maybe $1 trillion in 2025. But yes, domestically, August saw retail sales and factory output dip a bit slowest growth this year. So perhaps both sides see the benefit in avoiding an all-out economic war right now.
Makes sense.
China's even been trying to cool down certain hot sectors like EVs, telling companies not to overkill, maybe to avoid more international friction. It's all part of a delicate balancing act.
So let's bring it back home. For you listening, the everyday scroller, the creator, the person just enjoying the app, what's the bottom line here?
Well, the immediate win is pretty simple, isn't it?
Your For You page survives.
Exactly. It lives on. And, crucially, without that shadow of a potential ban, that spy thriller subplot hanging over it.
So young creators keep their stage, their audience. Businesses keep spending ad money there. And that whole global mixed K-pop next to backyard booty cues, you know, that keeps flowing.
That unique global culture blend stays intact. That's a big part of the appeal. But it's probably worth adding a small caveat. While the crisis seems averted,
there are still details missing.
Definitely. We still don't know who the specific U.S. buyer or buyers are. We don't know the exact price tag or the financial terms. And critically, the precise mechanics of how user data will be governed, how it flows, who oversees it post-deal, Those details are still under wraps.
So we'll be keeping a close eye on things, especially after that Trump-Xi call on Friday.
Absolutely. That's likely when we'll start getting more concrete information, filling in some of these blanks.
Ultimately, this whole episode, this Madrid summit, it's a stark reminder, isn't it? How connected our digital lives, our apps, our playgrounds are to massive world events.
Completely intertwined.
TikTok's pivot, this deal. It's more than just a business transaction. It feels symbolic. Superpowers finding a way to agree on something, even if it's mediated through a viral video app.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? If the fate of an app like TikTok requires global summits, influences trade policy, becomes a chip in geopolitical strategy, what other parts of our digital lives, things that feel so personal, are quietly shaping these bigger international narratives, these grand dynamics of global power?
That is definitely something to mull over next time you open the app, hit play, and take a breath. This Girl, my friends, goes on.